Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special evening with writer, director, producer Nancy Meyers. This is a USC Comedy Presents event, and Nancy will be in conversation with SCA professor Susan Arnold. Before I introduce Susan, I just want to let everyone out there know that if you'd like to ask a question, please type it in the Q&A box that's at the bottom of your Zoom panel. And when we open up the conversation, we'll invite individual people asking questions to become temporary panelists, where you can turn on your video and ask your question live. You don't have to turn on your video, you can just use your mic, but we'd love to see you if you're camera ready. Susan Arnold is an associate professor of the practice of cinematic arts. Susan and her partner Donna Roth produced the romantic comedy hits 13 Going on 30, America's Sweethearts with Julia Roberts, Forces of Nature with Sandra Bullock and Ben Affleck, as well as a celebrated Black comedy Grosse Pointe Blank. With Judd Apatow, she produced Drillbit Taylor. Other produced credits include the box office hit The Haunting, starring Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Owen Wilson, and the critically acclaimed Unstrung Heroes, directed by Diane Keaton. Susan's producing debut was the offbeat comedy Benny and June. Susan came to producing following a successful career as an actor and an independent casting director, as well as a casting executive. So Susan, I'll let you take it away.
Hi, everybody. All right, come on in, Nancy. Let me see. Come on, Nancy's gonna come on. Here's Nancy Meyers presenting. There she is.
Hi.
So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight, because everyone is so excited. I can tell because there's so many people here.
Thank you.
And yeah, I wanted to just say a little bit about you first. Nancy Meyers is acknowledged as one of the most commercially successful women filmmaker of all time. She was described in the New York Times as the most powerful female writer, director, producer currently working. She has received so many industry honors throughout her career, including being the first woman to receive Show West Director of the Year award. She also received the Directing Award from Women in Film, and recently was the recipient of the Writers Guild of America 2020 Laurel Award for Screenwriting Achievement. She's a trailblazing screenwriter, director, producer, known for such memorable hit films as Private Benjamin, Baby Boom, my personal all-time favorite movie, Father of the Bride, Parent Trap, Something's Gotta Give, It's Complicated, The Holiday, and The Intern. So I just want to say that I rewatched your movies in the last couple of weeks. I told you that. And your movies saved me, because it really kept me from going insane. It's been a crazy time, because your movies have this sense of optimism to them. They're very hopeful, and you have this feeling like really at the end it's all going to be okay, which I think we all really need. So thank you for that.
Sometimes it is all okay.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
It's okay to write about that.
Yeah, it's fantastic to write about that. I think that is fantastic. So here's how it's going to work. We're going to talk. I have some questions for Nancy. Then I'm going to turn it over to Alex, and we're going to let some of you, the students, hopefully ask some questions also. So here we go, Nancy. Starting out, because many people here are just starting out. There's students and they're starting out. So you grew up in Philadelphia. How did you?
I'm not even going to get out a question, but starting out when I started out and starting out in 2021 is a different world.
It's a different animal, right?
It's a different business. It's a different world. And I don't just mean because of the pandemic, which is obviously
no, I know
an extraordinary situation. But people are texting me. Hold on, I got to get rid of these.
Read your text out loud to us.
No, I'm not. Somebody once showed me how to hide your text. I'll figure it out.
You could just turn your phone off.
Oh, I can tell you.
You scroll up those little lines and I got it.
Okay. Well, what was your first job in Hollywood?
Okay. Wait, now I got to get rid of this thing. Okay.
You're Diane Keaton and Something's Gotta Give right now.
My first job in Hollywood, I moved here from Philadelphia. I know it was a Tuesday, and I know it was in June in 1972. And on Friday of that week, I got a job. It was Yeah, I mean, it was a different world, as I said.
Yeah.
But it was on a game show, which was not, I knew I wanted to be in show business. I can't say it was a lot more clear than that. I know I kind of wanted to write. I was 22. I was just out of school. So I was just heading west, you know. My sister had just moved here. So I was living with her. She was 3 years older than me. And I got a job on a game show. And, you know, when you have the wrong job, it helps you figure out the right job. And everybody has the wrong job. Everybody has the wrong job at first. Nobody, you know, oh, my first job was making a movie for Universal. No, it was not.
Right. That's exactly right.
You can't land in the right place.
No.
Right.
But it helps you figure out what the right place is.
Also, I didn't go to film school. Everybody watching this knows so much more than I knew at 22. So I lost some years in the wrong, you know, doing the wrong things.
But it must have helped you. It must have helped you figure out what you wanted to do. And then when did you start writing?
I started writing while I was working there,
Mm-hmm.
actually. And I mean, I've said this before, but, you know, I can't really change what happened to me. So when I've been asked this, I do tend to repeat the same thing. Hold on, now I'm going to turn off my phone.
Okay.
I'm sure everybody watching is like, oh, it's like my mother. Okay.
You know, we're here, both of us. Like, what can we say?
Okay, I think we're good now to go. You know, when I was working on the game show, Betty White, who was not an old woman at the time, was a contestant on a show that they had me work as a production assistant on. And she was on a very big hit TV show at the time called The Mary Tyler Moore Show. And so I told her I wanted to be a writer, and that was the show. At that point, I had been there about a year or so, and I said that's what I would love to do. I would love to write the Mary Tyler Moore Show. She was the nicest person in the world, and she said, well, have you written anything? I said, I have, actually. You know, I wrote a script. And she said, show it to me. And so I showed it to her, and she showed it to the people, you know, that made the show, and they called me in for a meeting. And I was so nervous when they called me in. I remember I had taken a little binder with other ideas because they said, come with ideas. No, it was a little like spiral thing. And she said, the girl was like, well, what other ideas do you have? And I couldn't figure out how to turn the page. I was so nervous. Anyway, I quit my job just based on getting a meeting. And they were extremely nice to me, and they liked what they saw in my writing, and they invited me to observe the show for a couple of weeks with a young guy who also wanted to learn about that show named James Burrows. And the two of us sat there for a week or so and watched everything. And so, of course, he went on to become the biggest TV director ever, I think.
For sure.
And I ended up never making TV. So anyway, but anyway, that's
yeah. And then you met your writing partner, and then to become your husband, Charles Shire, right?
Yes.
And you wrote with another partner, I think Harvey Miller. You wrote Private Benjamin.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And then you went on to write and movies with your husband, right?
Yeah.
And you produced them, and he directed them.
And yes, we wrote them together. Yeah.
Yeah. How did producing these films lead you to want to direct? How did you move through that? What was producing like for you?
You know, I wasn't driven to direct right away. Also, we had a few children in those years. And so I was writing movies, producing movies, raising kids. So directing wasn't foremost for me, wasn't the thing. The thing has always been writing for me, always.
That's your primary thing.
Oh, for sure.
And so, yeah.
So I eventually directed because after 18 years of being involved in every possible aspect, including somewhat the directing of our movies, you know, I didn't direct them, but I mean, all decisions were made together. You know, I said, I think I should try it. And the youngest one was then 11 or 10 or 11. She was 10 actually. So I thought, you know, I can do this now.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you really started directing because of writing then. So that is that true? I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the process of writing.
I started directing because of writing. I started directing because I got a little, I wouldn't say bored by just producing, but it was, you know, it just seemed like a good extension of where I was. Seemed like it was my turn.
Absolutely. Do you love to write? Is it agonizing for you, or is it a joy? Because, people feel differently.
All of the above.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But a good day of writing is about as good a day as I can have. It's the most fun.
Yeah, I imagine you like Diane Keaton in Something's Gotta Give, sitting there in front of her computer, just going.
Or she's like me, yes.
That's right. That's what I meant. Did I say that? That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I very much believe in writing what you know. Obviously.
Yeah, you do, because it's all very personal to you.
It is personal. And if it's not, I have to make it that way.
Uh-huh. And do you, when you're writing, do you visualize the whole movie in your head while you're writing? Is it there?
When I'm writing, I'm visualizing the scene in my head. I do a very extensive outlines. I'm not, I have a very good friend who's a fabulous writer, and he doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't know how the movie's going to end. He's not sure what it's about.
But
and he's an Oscar-winning writer.
Yeah.
For me, I need to have an outline. I'm just that kind of person. I need to. Today I wrote Wednesday to myself in the subject of what I was going to do today.
Very organized. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's organized or just, I don't know. I need to know. I need to know what's on my plate.
So you need to have a map of where you're going.
I have a pretty extensive outline, which is composed of outlines of its character descriptions and its histories, their history, like how did he get that way? Well, what kind of mother did that guy have if I'm going to write him like that,
So you write biographies for your characters.
Well, I fill them out so I know how to write them, so they don't all end up sounding just like me. So I have to give them a life, which doesn't have to be on screen, but I need to know it. And by the way, if you're going to direct, you need to know these things, I think.
Right. You need to know
where these people came from and how they got like this and why they're like that. He's like that because. Anyway, so, jokes, dialogue, occasional casting ideas. Oh, that restaurant that I went to, that would have been a good kind of location. I'll mention that. And I let myself go off in the outline. I don't worry about how long it is. And I don't worry that much about the first draft, about the length of that either.
That's great.
And that's not the time. That is not the time to, I don't think you get any award for your first draft was 112 pages. So what? My first draft of Something's Gotta Give was 250 pages.
Oh my God.
It was not good. But the movie
you were producing it.
But the movie was in there. But I needed to write it like that.
Yeah.
I needed to. I knew as I was writing, these scenes aren't going to make it, but maybe something will happen, and it'll inform something else.
So when you were writing, like Something's Gotta Give, for example, were you writing with those actors in mind? Do you write often with those actors in mind?
Sorry?
Do you write often with actors in mind?
Yes.
And did you involve them in any way in creating the character? How did they?
I don't involve them in creating the character, but I did go to both Jack and Diane. Once I had the idea fully formed, I went to them. But at that point, I had made 3 movies with Diane. Yes, I made 3 movies with her. So I was very comfortable going to her and saying, I'm writing a movie for you. And I told her the story. We were at some Italian place on Pico. I forgot what it was called. And I told her that I wanted Jack to be the guy. And she just practically, it was like a spit take. She practically, water almost poured out of her mouth. She said, he's not going to do this. He's not going to be in a movie with me. I said,
right.
Well, he's already been in a movie with you. Did you see Reds? Remember he was the guy in it? One of your big love interest? He said, he's not, you're nuts. He's never going to do it. So, okay, thank you. Then I had somebody introduce me to Jack. And I went up to his house and I met with him. And I said, I have this movie I want to write for you and Diane. But if you're never going to be in a movie like this, you can tell me that. It would help me.
Yeah.
Because I'll really think about you, write it for you, craft this thing for you. And, now a lot of people listening are thinking, well, I'm not going to get that chance to have somebody introduce me to, whoever, Leo, and I'm not going to go up to Leo's house. And that's true, you're not. But I had already, been making movies for 20 years at that point.
Right. And it helped you. Let's say you couldn't get Jack Nicholson, though. Even if they can't get Leo, it helps to write. Does it help you to write with something specific in mind?
Yes, it helps me, but I don't know that it would help everybody. And, I haven't always gotten the person. I mean, I mostly have, to be honest, but sometimes I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to rejigger your thoughts. And in the one case where that happened to me, after I made the movie with this other person, I could never picture the original person in it after I've done it. So, you have to be open. You just have to be open. It's hard to get the dream person.
Yeah, it's very hard to get the dream
person.
But the qualities that dream person has are sometimes some things that are the core of the character that you write. I
believe that there is something of the people, of the actors in all performances, I don't believe that's, even if they're playing, I'm not saying that they could murder somebody or, like they're that, but there's something in that part that attracted them to it and something in the part that's like them, for sure.
Huh.
Like when I did The Intern, everybody said, I never saw De Niro so sweet and so nice. I said, guess what? He's the sweetest.
Yeah.
He brought that piece of himself into that movie. He didn't need that piece of himself in Goodfellas or The Godfather. He needed that piece of himself for my movie. Even he and I have talked about that, and I think he would agree that there's something of them in all their parts.
Mm-hmm. Do you rehearse with actors?
Well, rehearsal time has gone away over the years, as you probably know. Nobody's ever in the same city. Nobody wants to come 2 weeks early. I used to, but I found as the years went on, it was much harder to organize. And what movie was it where I acted with everybody? And I'm terrible, by the way.
Oh, I don't think so. I bet you're not.
No, I'm a bad actress. I am. But I remember I did all the parts. I think it was The Holiday, maybe. I did all the parts with everybody because we needed some rehearsal. And they all wanted it, but they were just never around at the same time.
Your casts are unbelievable. So that's really, I mean, do they help you, let's say, discover the character in that? Because it seems to me that the wardrobe, right, that they build is a part of their character. I'm thinking about Diane's turtlenecks, right?
Right. Well, that was in the script. But I would say that was in the script because I
knew Diane.
Well, I didn't write it. Yeah, but also me. I love them.
Me too. I love them. I almost wore
one. When I look at photos of myself back through almost high school, I'm always in a turtleneck. What am I wearing now? Well, it's a mop.
I know we should have worn them, but I'm the same.
But what's the question?
Well, the question is, how much does the character reveal itself? Let's say, okay, in the wardrobe, or your set decorator must have a big job. Your set designer. So I'm going to read you a quote, actually.
Okay.
Donna Langley, who is the head of Universal, said, Nancy is so clear-minded about the story she wants to tell and how she's going to tell it. She puts an extraordinary amount of effort and detail into the movie, from set decoration to the production design. It's a very crucial part of her movie to know exactly what she's going to do on the day she's shooting. So that's kind of like you writing Wednesday down. You have a plan, right? Can you talk about that?
And by the way, and just like my movie schedules, I've never made a day in real life either. I have never completed a list.
Really?
And I've never made a movie in the given amount of days.
Okay, well, really? You haven't? You've gone over in your days?
I have never made it in the amount of days they've given me, ever.
There's never enough time.
Today, I got through a third of it, and I was busy all day. I just, I have big dreams, but I don't get to it all. But I get it done eventually.
Yeah, that's for sure. You sure do. I mean, so how do you guide your team? How do you do that? How do you create your plan?
Where did Donna say that? I never heard her say that.
Well, she said it somewhere. I wrote it down. It must be some interview that she said. I wrote it. I'll send it to you. I'll look for it and I will send it to you.
Okay. So regarding, just to go back to your initial thought, you started about wardrobe. Wardrobe is really critical because it's the first time in making a movie, I think that it's not exactly as you saw it, because there's another person that has to wear these things.
Yeah.
And say, I don't look good in those kind of pants, or I don't, so you start to adapt and build it together. And certainly as the director, as you know, I can say that's just a mistake. I mean, she's not going to wear a negligee. She's going to wear pajama bottoms and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely, I think for everybody listening, they should remember the actors aren't in charge, but on the other hand, they have to be comfortable. So you have to sometimes compromise with them. I remember on the first day of Jack Nicholson's wardrobe fitting on Something's Gotta Give, it was 6 hours, and he tried on one pair of pants. So he put them on at the beginning and he took them off after 6 hours because he didn't see the character the way I did. And, he thought, we're at the beach, I'm in shorts. And I'm like, no, I think you're like in linen pants. I think he's a different kind of guy. I don't think he's as relaxed as you are at the beach. I think he still has like really nice clothes on,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in the middle of it, he said, what do you mean we're not at the beach? So I said, let's walk over to the set, because I hadn't shown him the set. And you remember the house. It was
Oh my God.
really nice house, and we went in, so we walked into the set, which was getting dressed. We were getting, getting there with it. And he looked around, he went, well, no shorts. I said, right, no shorts.
Yeah, that's great.
They just have to, so he spent that day talking character. And I've always found, ever since real rehearsal went away, at least on my films, wardrobe fittings are rehearsal. It's when you really talk about it. You really talk about it.
Yeah, because as you build that closet, they become the person.
Well, because the wardrobe is done per scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people will say, here's a closet of things, but I'm more specific. Well, what, okay, so when they meet, what is she wearing? When she knows she's going to see him at the thing, so what did she put on? Or whatever. So it's a way of talking about the scenes. It's talking about their background. It's a way of talking about character, just in the best way. I like it. It's really not about clothes. The clothes then become a result of the conversation,
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about that house for a minute, because
okay,
your sets are aspirational. Your houses are your kitchen is famous, because we even know you have 2 islands.
I'm looking at them. Yes, I do.
Yeah, but so in the same way that wardrobe is part of this character, I can only imagine that putting those houses together really inform the way you visualize the character also.
Well, I have, when I'm writing, because so much of my movies takes place in a location, the intern in the office, the holiday in the 2 houses, or whatever it is, they're very much I don't go to a million different locations.
Right.
I mean, I guess I do a little bit. Sometimes.
A lot of them,
I travel, but it's usually like 60% of the movie will take place in the house or the office. And so I have to know what it looks like to write it. So when I'm writing a scene and I say, she enters the office and I can't, show up and say, I don't know when she comes in, I have to know what it looks like. So I draw a very rough blueprint of the house or the office. So I can show it to somebody. This can change, this can't change.
Mm-hmm.
These 2 things have to happen. This moment has to happen where he comes out of his room and she comes out of her room. We have to be across from each other.
And you have to know that it works because you've written the scene in a certain way where they come out.
Exactly. I'm not willing to rewrite a scene because the set that we built.
Yeah.
If you're building, which we used to.
Yeah.
When you build a set, you got to build it to the script, not based on anything but the script. But in my last movie where we didn't build anything, I had to adapt because I had to.
Do you storyboard?
Yes, of course.
Do you draw yourself, or do you have a story?
I cannot draw. I mean, I will.
Yeah.
That's about like my acting. It's not too good. Pretty bad.
Yeah, okay. And then I heard this. I don't know where I heard this, but I heard that you also have a Pinterest page is this true?
Well, yeah, I just used to have huge bulletin boards in my office.
Mood board.
I had, wall-sized bulletin boards. And I do that for everybody that comes in, and all the meetings are in my office, so everybody can see, oh, that's the kind of cottage, or that's the kind of office, or oh, the bathroom's that little, or it's, you know, if there's a joke about how small the bathroom is, we got to make it really small, you know.
Yeah, of course.
You know, there's this famous story that it's in every book about Billy Wilder, where he wrote a bit about a guy leaning over a bowl of soup, and his tie goes into the soup. It was just, I don't know, a little comedy bit. And he went to visit the set. This is before he became a director, and the actor was in a bow tie. And he said that's what made him say, I must direct. So
yeah, that's a great story.
So I feel that way, you know. So I'll have costume sets. I'll have actors' pictures up on the wall that even if they haven't been alive for 40 years, you know, somebody, one of the actors will see that and understand there's something in that actor that I like, you know.
Yeah.
It could be Mastriani, you know, on the wall. And someone will say, why do you have a picture of Mastriani? And I'll say, because I like the way he's, you know, whatever. And then everything informs it.
Yeah. And so, you know, it seems to me, Nancy, that and this is good for the students to know, because I think, I keep saying in all my classes, and I think it's really true, you really have to know the history of film. You have to know who came before. And it does feel like your movies are really influenced or by classical.
All movies are, I think.
Yeah. So who are the classic film? Preston Sturges or Billy Wilder or Ernest Lubitsch? I mean, those are the ones that come to mind when I think of your movies, right?
Those are the people that come to my mind too.
Well, there you go. See, we're of one. Yeah. So if you guys out there, you need to know who those people are, because that will inform you of the work that you're doing now, wouldn't you say?
Or know who they are in the world you want to make a movie.
Yes.
No, and what is your vocabulary? You know, what is the language of your movie? Because I guess it's good to invent completely from scratch, but look at La La Land. I mean, there's sequences from other movies.
Yeah.
Right? That are so much like other movies. I mean, it's our language, you know, and you don't have to invent your own language.
And you need to know what's come before and that's exactly right.
You need to know what comes before, because you'll learn. That's why artists go to museums and sit in front of paintings and draw them. They're trying to learn how to do that, how to get that light, how to get that effect, how to get that brushstroke. That's why we watch movies and read scripts. Don't just watch the movies. If you're a writer, read the scripts.
Yeah, there's a lot and read the ones that aren't good, and read the ones that are good, they're less good ones, by the way.
But you don't have to read current ones.
No, that's right.
I'm saying if you can get a hold of the script.
You can now on the internet.
Billy Wilder movie, which of course you can. There's a million websites. It's just it's a great addition to your knowledge of that movie to see that, oh, that was in the script. Yeah, that's right. It's the good movies. It's always in the script.
That's true. I have another one I want to ask you about, because you're so well prepared. You have such an organized plan, and you know you clearly know what exactly you want, which I think is an amazing trait in a person, to know what they want. Because sometimes,
by the time you arrive on set, you have to know what you want.
Yeah, or you have to act like you know what you want.
Right, because when you're writing, you can flounder a little. You know, you can. Not so good for a director.
No, you really have to be able to answer. Right. Or you have to be able to answer those questions. And
yeah, you have to have it all figured out by the time you get there. And you have to have it all figured out before you hand in your script too. I've heard young writers say, well, they're going to give me notes anyway. And I'm like, but don't wait.
Yeah.
Right. Don't wait. Answer these questions now.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that part is long or boring or redundant, or don't hand it in. But I think writers are under a lot of pressure, and they have certain dates they have to get things in by, you know.
I think they
do.
There's
pressure, and they know they're going to get notes, but you know, don't go to sleep.
Put your best foot forward.
Just stay up and keep working it.
Yeah. What do you do? So go ahead. I was going to say, go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
You get one shot at a first read.
Yeah, you do. They're not going to read your script twice, right?
By the time they do, they've already given you notes, and now they're looking to see how you did the notes, and that there's some magic is gone.
Right. So you really have to put your best foot forward.
Always.
Yeah. Okay, here's my question for you. What happens, how do you handle the surprises that happen? This is it, you
Well,
know.
surprises happen daily.
Yeah, they do, right? And so the best laid plans, right? You're there.
Every
Yeah.
day something happens, especially when you're not building sets, right? When you're
Yeah.
actually at a real location. Because I've had the luxury of making a lot of movies where weather didn't matter, you know? So you have to be prepared for, you know, I mean, it's constant what you must be prepared for. I mean, I can't even give it, you could name 10 things. Something is thrown at you by the hour.
Right.
So if you're already not prepared when you get there, I mean, I'll have a nightmare tonight thinking about it. Like I can't even imagine it. So if you have a plan, you can adjust your plan. If you don't have a plan, I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, if you don't have what you can control in your hand, how are you going to be able to prepare for
Right. Okay, so if we can't do that now, fine, we'll do that piece tomorrow. But if we're gonna, if you need a plan, that's why people do storyboards too. You know, I think walking on the set and going, oh, let's see, I would die.
Yeah.
And by the way, great directors do it that way.
I know. It's just a different process.
Yeah.
Right.
This is me.
Yeah, no,
By the way, it doesn't mean that I point to the storyboard and go, no, I said it. No, I'm one of the people that can walk on the set and go, ooh, you know what I just realized? Yada, yada, yada. And you know, what if we, you know, but I like having the foundation there.
I completely understand. So that you can pivot if you want to pivot.
Always pivot a little. I don't, you know, but there's nothing better than Xing out your storyboards as you go.
Ripping those pages out of the script.
Got it. Yeah. Oh, the best.
So if you're open to that, and you know, like, movies are made of these great moments, right? And sometimes these moments happen and they're not what you expected. They're not how you planned it. And there's that alchemy of making movies, right? How does that work for you?
Well, sometimes it's the actor's take on the very line said just as you've written it, but said in a way you would not have thought of, that sometimes makes your skin crawl and other times makes you weep. You know, so you have to be open to it, because sometimes it can be, wow, is that the wrong version of it? And other times it's like, is that what I wrote? That is what I wrote. Wow, she's saying it so in a way I never thought. I mean, you just have to be open. It's a really hard job directing. It's very hard. What can I say? You got to be open, yet you need to be focused and have a. You got to be able to see a million things at once, as you know, when you're directing. But anyway, those things happen, and sometimes they happen just in a moment where you know, it's a written moment that you didn't realize would be as powerful as it is, and that's really due to the actors a tremendous amount of the time.
Do you let them improvise?
Not very much.
So if they do they know that going in that this is,
we talk about that
right away. So this is my script.
Before we get to set, we've had that conversation.
Right, that's good. Right.
But that doesn't mean, and I've made movies with, you know, Steve Martin and you know, big comedy people, and I'd be kind of dumb to not take advantage of that. So what I learned from Steve on the first Father of the Bride was the way he does it. He says, when you get it the way you like it, can I try something? And I've stuck with that forever, for 25 years. If somebody wants to try something, I'm never going to say you can't try it, but I'm going to say, let's get it. Be happy with it, you know, and then of course, let's try that. But I never from the get-go want to start that way.
Right. Speaking of Steve Martin, so you did a virtual Father of the Bride, and I told you this that we're doing a virtual semester now, so it's really challenging and also rewarding. So and the work
actually very challenging I don't know how challenging it would be if you're not a filmmaker already. I mean, if you're a student, I don't know how challenging it is, because you don't know what you're missing.
Part of it is that.
We all knew what we were missing, but we all had a great time.
Right. What is, do you have tips for like these? So the work that everyone has done this semester has been kind of extraordinary because, you know, when you have these limitations, kind of wonderful things happen. But
Right.
what, do you have tips for that kind of work, or would you, I saw a picture of you in your car with your iPad trying to get, because you didn't have power or something.
Well, my internet went out for the first time in my house in 20 years on the last day of making this thing. So I drove over to one of my kids' houses, sat in her garage with an iPad with the color timing. I was connected to the color timing facility, and then I had my whatever. I was zooming with them on one and watching on the other.
Yeah.
It was wild. But that's that I'd be doing if I shot a film, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people aren't going to color timing sessions now. You know, everything's done through a Zoom.
Digitally. It is.
Yeah.
But you did have an opportunity, I think, to really get performances, right? I think there is an opportunity to. Did you feel that you missed the in-person connection, or did you feel like you had a connect? Well, you knew all these people pretty much.
Well, I didn't know Florence Pugh,
Right?
or Ben Platt, or there's one other I didn't know. I forgot, but
yeah.
But
it was great, by the way.
It was you know, we were at mostly 10 of us with me 11 of us on together, and it's not how you normally direct. Directing is, you don't broadcast your notes. So sometimes I would dial somebody up, say, hey, I'm going to call you, and then other times I would just, if it was one of the people I knew really well, I would just say, hey, this time try whatever, or don't make delay before you, you know, whatever the note is. It's not ideal.
No, it's not ideal.
So, you know, there's no makeup, there's no hair, there's no wardrobe person to, you know, so I fixed quite a few things in post.
Did you take your Zoom and walk through
I shaved somebody. What did I what?
Did you take that Zoom and have like location scouts by seeing where their house was, what room they're going to be?
Oh yeah, we did everything on Zoom.
Yeah,
we scouted locations. I went into their closets with them, picked, you know, and I'd be like, well, wait, what's the blue dress up there? You know, like that. It was fun.
It is. I mean, that's exactly what we're doing.
It was fun.
Yeah. Hard and fun. Yeah.
Hard. Yeah, but not hard like movie hard. You know, I think we were all just, it was I think for everybody, it was just such a unique way for all of us to work that we just sort of enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, and you're also just, oh, you know what I didn't ask you, and before we actually open it up for the students, I really want to ask you about your feelings about editing, because I know
I love editing.
Yeah, I know you do. So if you could just talk to us a little bit about how you think the movie's created in the editing room, and maybe a little bit about, you know, is there a style of comedy editing? I mean, you know, editing a comedy. So what do you think?
Right. I'm not sure the movie is created in the editing room. I'm really, I put all my weight in the script. And what happens in the editing room is I've never, you know, recut how I've written a movie. But my movies wouldn't lend themselves to that. Like move this scene here and put that. I've never done anything like that. So editing is all about performance, really, mostly performance, timing. And you take out stuff that didn't work. If something didn't work, you try to make it work. And if you can't, it's got to go.
Ruthless then.
Pardon me?
Ruthless to take things out.
Well, it's not ruthless. It's just I'm serving the movie, you know. It's to be better without that, you know. And sometimes things work and I take them out. You know, it's just like I get, the pace has got to get picked up, or I feel I know that already, you know, one of those kind of things. So editing is really crafting performance, picking the best moments for everybody and getting that to work, and pacing, you know, pacing and helping the comedy. It's there, you know, I mean, I think the first key to making a comedy is hiring funny people. And there's a misconception that unfunny people can be in comedies, and I don't think so. I don't think so.
And so when you edit for their comedic performance, is there, that's what you're doing. You're cutting at a certain place, you're elevating the joke, but your movies have such heart as they're my favorite kind of movies because they're funny.
Thank you.
And they, you make you cry, but they make you laugh.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel, I don't mean to sound cliche or whatever, but I mean, it's like life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going through the worst possible times, and yet there's always some point during the week when I'm laughing hysterically at something somebody said. You know what I mean? Life is a complex, doesn't have to be all one thing. I've never wanted to make a comedy that's just every, by the way, I like those kind of movies, but it's never been my thing. I want to also feel things.
Right.
So I don't know about cutting comedy. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I have any words of wisdom on that. I just follow my instinct, really.
What about
getting off of somebody at the right time is as important as getting on somebody at the right time.
There you go. Yeah.
When to be wide and when not to be wide.
Right, because many people say it's better to be wide in a comedy, but I don't know if that's true.
Well, yes, if they're falling down a flight of stairs.
Well, which is funny. Which is always funny.
No, but I mean, if you need to be here, you need to be here.
Yeah. Because for example, that scene where Diane Keaton is crying while she's writing has got to be one of the most brilliant scenes in something's got to be.
that thing on a preview card, and for those of you who haven't made a movie yet, the preview card has the worst question in the world on it, which is, what's your favorite scene? What's your least favorite scene? And that scene was the most favorite and the least favorite. So of course I kept it.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I would never, like this, to me, that's not even a tie. That means, I keep it.
Oh yeah.
Men maybe didn't like seeing her cry so much, but it's gone on. That scene's lived a life. So
it's lived a life. It's just incredible.
Yeah. So we did that. Jack had a little later. His call was a little bit later in the day, and so we always would shoot when we were in that section. We would shoot one of those, and get that out of the way in the morning. And
wow, it's pretty incredible.
She was
all right. I think
she was great in that.
What?
She was great in that.
She was great in that. Just absolutely great.
She was just really great.
Yeah, I think that
she cried so much. Oh my God, that poor woman. I made her cry a million times.
That's good though. It's good. It's good for the soul. Alex, I'm going to call on you because I think it's time to sort of open this up to some. How you doing, Nancy? You holding up?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So we have a ton of questions, and I'm just going to apologize in advance to everyone that we don't get a chance to call on. But we'll do this. I'll invite the first person over, Lauren Corcoran, and then I'll put a running order so that you can get ready to be called over. And Lauren, I know you've asked a variety of questions, so just maybe pick your two favorites so that we can make sure to get as many people in as possible. So Lauren, I'm going to move you over now.
Here she comes.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Hello, I'm so sorry. I'm in the car. I'm honestly shaking. Nancy, you are literally my favorite director. I can't believe this.
Hi, thank you.
Hi, it's so wonderful. I'm sorry. I've been watching your movie since I was a kid. One of the things I really wanted to ask was mainly, I really want to do costume design. That's something that I'm very, very passionate about. What are the main motifs that you look for in your costumes, especially when you're dressing women? I am so obsessed with how you dress women. I am like, Diane Keaton is all over my Pinterest boards, especially especially from Something's Gotta Give. It's amazing. And the turtleneck is just such an iconic moment. What are like the main motifs and inspirations that you have when you do costume design?
Well, first of all, she went away. Can she come back?
Oh, I'm here. I'm back. Hi.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. Thanks so much. What do you like about Diane's costumes and Something's Gotta Give?
I love how even though she's this woman of, she's kind of affluent, she's got the house in the Hamptons, even that she's simple, she's elegant. It's the elegance. It's, the way that she wears her slacks, the way that she's so put together, almost as if it's like effortless. And the hair, obviously, the way that it's like almost looks like it's kind of blow dried, yet still it's perfect. That's something that I love. It's the effortless look of affluence that I love.
Well, well, you say affluent, but her sweater, her white sweater that she wears a lot, that kind of open cardigan, you know, is from the Gap.
I love that.
As is this sweater. So to me, it's about comfort. You know, I don't know if you heard earlier, but you know, Jack wanted to wear shorts at the beach, and I talked.
Yeah, I did.
But it wasn't that he was in a three-piece suit. And as a matter of fact, when they were doing the one sheet, the poster for the movie, they put Jack in a suit walking down the beach barefoot. And I said, well, first of all, Diane's not in the poster, so that doesn't make sense. And secondly,
Right.
why is he in a suit? The man's never in a suit for 1 second. He's in a rolled up linen shirt, and you know, back then it was kind of how men dressed.
Right. Like he's a Casanova, but not all the time.
Record executive, you know, I mean, he was, you know, he had some money. So you could wear a linen shirt. Didn't have to be in it. And I don't think men his age should be in t-shirts. You know, that's my own personal thing. So, I don't think I had a motif. I know I've read that I seem to dress a lot of women in white, but I'm not aware of that. But I also think white reflects your face, you know, and it's kind of like you have your own bounce board. You know? I think women look good in white in movies, but I'm not aware that I go out of my way to put anybody in white. You know, I see what comes into the fitting. I go through everything before the actors come. I pull things out that I think would be wrong, because even though they're great, they're wrong. So at least by the time they arrive, in my opinion, we've got the right direction to go in. Sometimes with wardrobe, I will soften a character up through wardrobe if that's what the character needs, you know. You know, I remember we were doing The Intern. I really thought De Niro should wear button-down collar shirts because my dad did. Even though De Niro is close to my age, he's not my father's generation, but he was the kind of guy that reminded me of my dad. And I think that's a very old school, traditional. And Bob said to me, isn't it too collegiate? And so I said, I don't know. I just have always seen him. You know, when I was writing, I saw him in a button-down shirt. So when we did our costume fittings, what do you call it when you shoot the costumes? The costume,
the test.
When we did the wardrobe test, yeah, sorry. We were doing the wardrobe test, and Bob had probably 40 different suits. He tried every single one on with a button-down shirt and a non-button-down shirt, because he's the kind of actor that the wardrobe really helps him define his performance. He really wants to know how this guy dresses, you know, and he's very respectful. So it wasn't like he tried to say, no button down. Anyway, so then we watched the test the next day, and we were sitting next to each other. And after about 3 changes, he leaned over to me and he said, I totally think the button down.
Yeah.
I said, but guess what? Now we have to watch it in 37 more versions of that. But anyway, so sometimes it's little things like that help me with character. But I also want, like I was saying earlier, I want the actors to be comfortable too. But I want to live within the world of the film.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you so much, Nancy. You're literally my favorite director of all time.
That's so nice. I so appreciate that. Thank you.
So sweet.
We love you so much, me and my best friend. Have an amazing night. Bye.
Bye, Lauren.
Bye.
Okay, we got Jonah. Take it away.
Hello, can you hear me? Is this working?
We can hear you. We can't see you.
Hear you, John.
Okay, let's see if I can fix this. There we go. I think picture's up. There we go.
Hey.
Hi.
How you doing? Hi, Jonah, class. I'm good. I'm here in Brooklyn, New York, class of 2013, USC. Big fan, Nancy. I love your movies. I just finished my first feature, which is a romantic comedy as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you look like you live in a romantic comedy boys apartment.
You do.
I got the brick wall
and the wall, and you've got the rack for your clothes because they
got a scarf on. Yeah.
This is my Jude Law when he shows up to the door in The Holiday with the glasses, and he's like, you know, is that a trick question? You know.
Okay.
Anyway, that movie's excellent. Thank you for coming on the panel. I wanted to talk to you about characters in romantic comedies, how the protagonists often start off sort of pitted against each other and then sort of learn to fall in love, versus maybe how it is sometimes in real life, where like you like somebody and you start to date them. And having just sort of like analyzed so many rom-coms through the process of making one, I was wondering, you know, in Something's Gotta Give, they're pitted against each other at first.
Well,
And then in movies,
he's dating her daughter, so you know, there's that.
right. Yes. And then in movies like, you know, You've Got Mail, they hate each other. And of course, that's just another, you know, great rom-com. And I guess my question is sort of, are you thinking about, is that a conscious thing in your work? Because you could see it in The Holiday, you could see it in everything. Are you thinking about the initial conflict between the two protagonists, or are you sort of, is it more free for all than that?
Well, in The Holiday, nobody disliked each other. Jack Black and Kate Winslet liked each other immediately. He happened to have been hung up on another woman, and she was sort of hung up on another guy, but they liked each other a lot and became friends, right? And then and then also Jude and Cameron had sex an hour after they met, so they liked each other. So, yes.
Good. Yes, you're right. Yeah, I guess the conflict of them being the familial
conflict. You have
conflict.
to have conflict. You're making a movie. You have to have conflict, or otherwise you have to have drama, right? Even comedies are filled with drama, so you have to have drama. So the drama in The Holiday becomes, he likes her more than she likes him, but she liked him. She didn't dislike this guy. But she's, you know, they slept together. She wanted to leave. Then she thought about, why am I leaving? Maybe I should stay here and see what that is. And then it turned out he had kids and didn't tell her. And so the conflict's there. There was no conflict that they didn't like each other, right? So it doesn't always have to be that, but you do have to have some conflict somewhere.
Yeah.
So is it a conscious thing? Yes, I consciously will create a problem that we have to solve, because that's the journey of the movie. But I don't always think, gee, they have to dislike each other, and it's complicated. They were married and then they were divorced. So the conflict was deep, you know? It wasn't like, I don't like him, I loved him, he cheated on me. And then they get back to, you know what I mean? And when Meryl meets Steve Martin, and I don't know if you've seen that movie, but she also, you know.
Of course, of course. I've seen all your movies.
Steve Martin, no conflict with Steve Martin either. So I'm saying there's conflict, but doesn't always have to be the obvious, we don't like each other.
Okay.
That's a little obvious, I think, just to right off the bat say, he's not my type.
Thanks, Jonah.
Thank you.
Good luck with your movie. What's it called?
Luck.
It's called Dating and New York.
Oh, that tells what it's about.
Dating and New York. Got it.
In New York. Yeah.
Okay. Good luck.
Dating in New York. Okay.
Okay, we should have Mia. Are you?
Hello. Yes.
Hi,
Can you
Mia.
hear me? Hello, Susan.
Hi,
Oh my
honey.
gosh. Hi. Susan was, for the record, everyone, Susan was my amazing producing teacher at 310. Great times.
Girl.
So I recently graduated this May, dreadfully, I guess, during this wonderful pandemic. And what you were saying about like how you started out where you like moved here when you were 22. I'm 22. I mean, I've been here, but I guess like I'm wondering, like, as a writer, how you balanced your life, like your work life, because I work this job that I literally despise with my whole life, but I have to work it because otherwise I will have no money. So wondering like how you balance that, like how you found time to write, and like how you like made writing from like a side thing that you do after you work into like your career.
How did I make that leap?
Yeah, and like how did you find balance from like the stress of like having to work even in a job that you may not have liked?
What I did was I when I was your age, and then I left working on that game show, and then I wanted to become a writer because I had one good meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Optimism.
And they let me
Yeah.
and they let me observe for a week or so. So I quit my job, but like you, I needed to earn money, and I needed to support myself. So I found something I could do that gave me free time. So I mean, it sounds crazy, but I baked.
Oh.
I baked. And I sold,
Yeah.
and I sold my cakes to restaurants because they were excellent. It was a recipe.
Really?
That's cool.
It was, pardon?
That's so cool. You just
Well,
sold
it was
cakes.
it was in the 70s, and there were some really great restaurants in LA, and I took my cake around to all these restaurants. I went to like the drugstore, and I got a big cooler, and I put my cake in it because it's a refrigerated cake, and I took it to all these restaurants, and everybody bought it. And I had all these orders, like, can you have 12 here by Friday? And so I recruited my sister to bake with me because I couldn't do it all. But anyway, so I baked all day. I baked so many cakes. I baked all day, and I wrote at night. So that's how I did it. And then I don't remember what happened after that.
Well, I would just
anyway,
add one thing.
but it wasn't a job. I mean, I did grow to hate it.
Yeah.
But I didn't hate it, and I was home, and I could be thinking, while I was baking.
Yeah.
But how did I then transition into becoming a real writer that sold?
Yeah, was there like stress, I guess, that like once you sold one thing, then you're like, okay, well, now I gotta do it again and keep going.
Is that stressful? I think that's like great.
I think it's exciting, probably.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I'm not there yet.
Always stress, yes, but I mean, if you're looking for a stress-free job, this isn't it.
Yeah.
Right, and it's also, you've got to make it work for yourself every time. Right? Yeah, you got to keep doing it. It's not really. It is a job, I guess some people do, and then they don't do anymore. But I mean, if you're good at it, you're going to keep doing it, right? And you want to stay in it because it's exciting and it's fun. And it's stimulating, and you meet great people, and you gotta stay at it. I mean, the work ethic can't quit on yourself.
For sure.
There you go.
So the stress isn't going to go away, ever.
No, I don't expect it to. And I mean, working under pressure is like great. And I mean, being bored feels worse than doing something maybe that you don't even like, I guess. But yeah, I love hearing about like how people sort of were able to find the time, because sometimes there's not enough time in the day, but you make a great point that there's more than enough time in the night.
Yeah, I wrote at night for a long time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, that's kind of all I was wondering.
Thanks.
But thank you.
I just want to say one thing, Nancy, which is this really explains a lot about your movies, because food in your movies is a big thing. And baking, Meryl Streep baking for Steve Martin, and it's complicated. And, in Something That Gotta Give, the pancakes were really a thing. So now it makes a lot of sense. It's love, really, isn't it?
Well, at the time I was doing it, it was my job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't like there were delivery services back then. I had to like bake them, deliver them, drive them, find a parking space.
I love that. Okay, Alex.
Yep. So we've got Riley. Riley, if you want to turn on your camera.
Hi. Oh, I had this background on. Sorry about that.
Where are you?
Here, I'm gonna just.
What is that a background of? My movies are Zoom backgrounds. You can pick some of my movies.
This is actually.
Isn't that one of your movies right there?
This is not one of my movies that I recommend.
Yeah, it's my thesis film for 480 at USC.
Yeah.
An animated film.
Oh.
But yeah, didn't realize I had it on. This is kind of surreal to me because 13 Going on 30 is like one of my favorite movies, and then The Parent Trap's also one of my favorite movies. So wow, this is just really exciting for me. I wanted to ask about The Parent Trap and how basically I've loved that movie my whole life, and it really speaks to young girls, I think. But then when I tell anyone that it's my favorite movie, and no matter their age, they're also like, I love that movie. And I don't find that in other films that I liked as a young girl that I still love. So I was wondering, what do you think about The Parent Trap makes it universal to all, that no matter what your age is, what your gender is, etc., that people just fall in love with it.
Well, you probably know that it was a movie from the early 60s, and I was 11 when it came out. That's about an 11-year-old girl. And Lindsay was 11 when I cast her. And so I was like you. I mean, I was just a huge fan of The Parent Trap, because for me, the ticket was that the girls were in control of everything. And that's not normally what you see in movies about girls, especially. You know, these girls pulled all the strings, they duped everybody, they switched places. Also, the fantasy of there's another you is pretty fun. I mean, it's pretty fun. And I know you can pick it apart and say, how did they not know the second they saw each other that they're twins? But, you know, that's how the book was written. That's how the first movie was made, and I wasn't going to change that. And also there's the fantasy of getting your parents back together, you know, traveling by yourself to go, you know, and just the whole duping everybody. I mean, it's a kid fantasy. I mean, it's a safe world that they live in that movie. I don't know if you could remake that movie now. Get a kid on a plane by yourself. It never could have happened, you know.
That's the first movie you directed, yeah?
It is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think it's, and it's kind of a glossy movie for a kid's movie too, you know. It's got a kind of a wide look at things, you know. There's different parts of the world, and then you bring the parents back together, and so it's got a love story in it. And there's that love story between the girls, you know, finding their sibling. They're both only kids.
Yeah.
So there's so much going on in that story. It's dark. Some of it's kind of dark if you take it that way. You know, it's a German children's story.
Huh. And how did you cast Lindsay Lohan? Because that was her first movie, right? That was the first
Yeah.
movie you did?
Just read everybody in the world.
Right. And she was, had she been acting?
No. I think
Right.
she was in a commercial, but they didn't show me that. She just auditioned, you know, and
Yeah.
at one point it was like I could not hear the scenes read one more time, you know, and I couldn't see one more kid. And I remember going to my office on a Saturday and just saying, well, there were like 20 kind of maybes, but didn't love anybody, you know. And so I went in and I looked at whatever it was, 20 or 30 girls. I looked at their tapes, and she kind of stood out. And so we did a screen test of 6 girls. But she, during the screen test, you could just tell she's fabulous. I mean, she was
great. She was great.
She's fabulous, yeah. And what a nice little girl. She did a great job.
Yeah, she did. Okay, thanks, Riley.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Good luck with your movie.
Over to Jacqueline.
Hey,
There you go. Now you're
There you go.
I feel like I'm coming between them. I didn't mean to dress for the beach, but I guess kidding.
Not in shorts, I hope.
Jean shorts. Sorry to disappoint. I'm asking a serious question, so I'm going to get rid of that background for a second. So first off, I just want to say thank you so much for coming to speak to us. It's always really cool to see the people we look up to are just people, and really refreshing. And also please congratulate Hallie, because Home Again was great, and I watched it with my mom, and I told her never to do something like that, but it was very nice to watch.
I will, thank you.
I'm actually directing a documentary next semester about the different, like the changing of times and women's leadership roles being available nowadays. And because of that, I kind of wanted to ask you, I have a question prepared. So this is an exciting time for women in leadership positions, and I was hoping you could speak about watching The Shift, as I can imagine it was exciting in Hollywood, and what that experience was like for you, being a woman who came up in the industry before that time.
What was it like for me to watch The Shift? Are you talking about the political shift that happened this week?
No, just
What
the
shift?
shift over the years of more opportunities being given to women in leadership opportunity roles in Hollywood.
You know, for example, Nancy, you could discuss what it was like for you when you, on Private Benjamin, how it was different because you were a woman than your partners, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be able to say to you, you know, wow, just the difference is enormous, but is it? I mean, you're researching it. Is it enormous? I don't think so. Yes, there are more women directors. Do women directors get the same breaks male directors get? No. Can women directors fail and get another shot as quickly as a man? No. Do more women go into producing than directing for whatever reasons? Yes. You know, I mean, you know, women are always in the room, it seems. There are more women, I guess, running studios now or not. You tell me, Susan, are there? I don't know. There's Donna Langley, and who are there other women?
I think there's been women running studios, executives running studios for the last 10 years, I think you could say.
Yeah, but
starting with Sherry Lansing, you know, right? Or Dawn.
Sherry, who I made a movie for, and Amy, who I made a couple movies for. But has there been, was the longest running studio head, right?
Mm-hmm. Amy Pascal, yes.
Yeah, Amy Pascal.
Was she longer than Sherry Lansing also?
Yeah, Sherry she did it for a long time. I mean, to me, it always was sort of the novelty thing. It wasn't like the men. It just wasn't. It wasn't like, yes, when there's 5 male studio heads and 1 woman, I don't see that as a huge advancement. I mean, it's good. But has it changed to now where there's 5 women and 1 man? No.
No.
1 man, no. It's not. It's still, you know, what can I say?
It's still a fight. In other words, it's still a fight.
I don't think it's as obvious a fight because people can't afford to act like they're fighting it anymore. But the more men that get fired for bad behavior, they're almost always replaced by women. So that's been good. But I can't say that I'm here to say it's a different world. It's way easier. Is it? I don't know. Is it way easier?
It's got to be a little easier.
I think it's probably a little easier. Mm-hmm. But it should be by now way easier.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in the beginning, I think there were really prejudices against women when it came to this amount of money. Are we really going to give this amount of money over to a woman? You know, I think what Susan was referring to about my first movie was I had in my contract, they put in my contract, I could never be on set as the only producer. I had 2 male producing partners. And in my contract was I could never be on set without one of them.
And only in your contract, right? Not
only in my contract. Mm-hmm.
That's changed.
So, and women are excellent producers, by the way. They're the best. I mean, they're really great. They're really, really great. On my sets, I have a lot of women, you know, in a lot of different jobs. And I think you have to now. I think you must now, which is great.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you.
Okay, we should have Ella.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Ella. Ooh, nice hair, nice wall color.
Oh, thank you. 6th grade me she really went all out. So I just had a quick question. I'm a freshman, by the way, and what you were talking about, the freshmen losing their experience and not really knowing what I'm missing. I'm very thankful that that's the case, that I'm not a graduating senior or junior. I feel really bad for the juniors on this call and seniors, like really rooting for them. But anyways, so I guess a lot of your films, I know for me and my family, we've just 100% enjoyed them and loved them. And one of the things that I love about them is that they bring these universal conditions and emotions that we all experience at some point in our lives, whether that's love or anger or loss. And I guess my question is, how do you, in your work, rather than telling, how do you show these kind of emotions, and specifically in your writing, I guess?
That's a really good question. And one I've never been asked. That's a really good question.
Thank you.
Are you sure you're only a freshman?
I am. Sorry.
One question for a young person. You know, you arrive at it through your writing, right? When you figure it isn't the first thing that happens when you're writing a scene, right? But once you know your character and you know the trajectory of your story, it's pretty easy to know where she's going to get happy, where she's going to be disappointed, where she's feeling lost, where she's feeling strong, right? And you can't always talk about things as a writer. Everything can't be said through dialogue. So, you know, I don't have a conscious sense of keeping a balance, but I know how important it is. You know, like the scene we were talking about, I don't know if you've seen Something's Gotta Give, but Diane Keaton has this very elongated crying montage, you know, and sort of halfway through it, she starts laughing at something she's writing because the pain of the relationship fueled her work. And one time she's sitting in the kitchen, she's in a striped shirt, she's in the kitchen and she's typing something and she's making herself laugh. And then she remembers how sad she is and she turns it into a cry. You know, I think that's a good example of the conflict that she's feeling and that the pain of the situation, but how the pain is motivating her and how she has so much to write about. And when we meet her in the beginning of the movie, she can't even describe what her movie's about. There's a scene where Jack says, "What's your movie about? What's your play about?" And she's kind of all over the place. And it was clear that to me, she didn't quite know, of course I've been there. Someone says, "What's it about?" If I don't have it, it's hard for me to describe. She found it, not because he's the answer, but the way she felt about him was the answer, you know? And so it's part of writing, you know, I think to use all the tools in your kit to show the emotional side of the character.
Great, thank you.
That helped?
Ella?
Yeah, that did. Yeah, I guess when I was writing this question, I was thinking of Father of the Bride during the little like basketball scene moments. And I love those sweet moments because I've had those similar ones with my dad. And I'm not getting married. I'm not planning on getting married anytime soon. So it's not before my wedding night or anything like that. But thank you so much for answering.
You know, in the second, thank you. You know, in the second movie, I think it's the second movie, or maybe it's the first, when he sees her as a little girl and she goes, "Look, Dad, I can dribble." Was that the first or second movie?
I'm pretty sure. I think that was the first.
Anyway,
maybe not. Maybe not.
That's my daughter, Hallie, who went to USC.
Oh, wow.
And now directs.
There you go.
Awesome.
On set, age 4 or whatever she was.
Circled. It's a circle of life. I love that.
Totally.
Thanks, Ella.
Thank you.
Good luck this year.
Yeah, good luck.
Ugh, don't you hate having to see yourself?
Yeah, hate it so much.
You
look really good. Your hair looks as usual. Nancy Meyers, you know, she may have a famous kitchen, but I really think her hair is something that we could discuss for a long time. You have great hair.
Another Zoom.
But maybe another night we'll talk about that. Janie.
Hi, hello. Hi, I'm
Hi.
a USC alumni. I graduated in 2014, and I am a student again at a different school, getting an MFA in musical theater writing. So my question, I relate to all the undergrads right now who have had to adapt and take on new mediums. And as you've now directed for Zoom, my question is, how are you feeling about new mediums and the opportunities they present, whether that is TikTok or Zoom or whatever other creative ways that we are making film and TV and theater right now? Just thoughts on adapting to new platforms.
Well, I just did it. I didn't actually direct on Zoom. I sent everybody an iPhone, but then I in post made it look like it was a Zoom. But it looks better than the quality of a Zoom. Nothing against Zoom. It's been saving us, but the quality, it just looks nicer. So, I mean, like I said to Susan earlier, I love doing it. Do I want my career to be making movies on iPhones, which I make to look like Zooms? I do not. But it was the absolute best thing for the moment we're living in, you know? And I think TikTok is a lot of fun. I've certainly not done one, but.
Haven't made a TikTok, have you, Nancy?
I've not. I've not danced in a line behind one of my grandchildren, no. We've practiced, no. I haven't done that because I can't be maybe if I could be in the same room with them, I would.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I think everything goes back to the core of, like, you know, you're doing musical theater. I mean, that's old, right? There's nothing new about musical theater. So you'll adapt, but then you'll want to probably, if you stick with this, that's where you're going to land, and you're going to be in one of the oldest art forms of entertainment, right?
Yes.
Right? I'm not into gaming, you know?
Yeah.
No. No, you know what? It's storytelling, no matter what the platform. That it still is storytelling. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
Well, good luck. Good luck at your new school.
Thank you.
I love musicals. Good luck.
Yeah, me too.
We have time for a couple more, right, Alex? And then
Yeah,
let's let Nancy.
Yeah, we'll take these last four to get to 7:30. And Alexander, you're up next. Alexander. There we go.
Hi.
Hello. Are you at the nightclub, Alexander?
No, these are just LED lights. But yeah, I'm a sophomore in production. I'm just kind of flustered right now as well because like my family's been like watching like probably Something's Gotta Give, The Parent Trap, and Father of the Bride were like the three top films of my childhood by far. And then I remember I think
Oh, you had to watch all those.
But I was just wondering because, like, for example, with like Harry in Something's Gotta Give, I would find that whenever I watch it and I would like see him make like sort of like a stupid decision or something, it would sort of be like classic Harry, because the characters are just so strong and relatable. And I was sort of wondering how you approach constructing your character, if you sort of try to construct them based on the relationships you want, or just sort of how you approach building your characters.
You know, I have to know what I'm writing about, right? And then the character will tell that story with me, right? So you can layer things as you go. I do a lot of drafts because, you know, a lot of things get layered in subsequent drafts. The first draft is long, as I said before, a little long, little messy, but it's just got too much in it. So if there's something I loved from one scene, but I'm throwing out the scene, but I love that he yada, 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 you know, I'll put it into this scene. But by the time I'm really getting through the script, I get a real feel for them. And then I have a tremendously good time writing them, you know, especially him. I loved writing him because I had Jack in mind, and because he didn't say when I went to meet with him, no, I would never not be in a movie like this. No actor is going to say, yeah, you write it, kid, I'll be in it. Nobody's going to say that. But he said, no, I like that idea. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. I had pictures of him around my computer, you know. I don't know him as a person, so I can't be writing him. There's that thing people think is him, but nobody's that thing you think they are, right? I mean, that's not really him. So, but there is a cadence to the way he speaks, and just having that cadence in my head made me funnier, or made me more of a wise ass, or made me say things to the Keaton character that I wouldn't have said, you know, but he would say it, you know. So the actor in that case of that character helped me a lot, you know, not knowing I was going to have him, but the thought that I could have him. But I haven't run into a situation, you know, where I've written a scene where I then later say, she would never do that. I don't, hasn't happened. You know, I think I'm pretty consistently, I'm true to who they are.
Okay.
You know, I know that Alec Baldwin's character was just dishonest. But charming. And it wasn't awful stuff that he was dishonest about, but she could always catch him on it. And I liked writing that, you know.
Yeah.
Forget, but there was a scene at the end of that movie, you know, where I can't remember the exact writing, but they're sitting on a swing in front of the house. It's their last scene together. And they talk about what they did and should they have done it or not done it. She's trying to get an answer out of him, and he gives her some obtuse answer, as he always does. And she says something like, well, I guess that's the best I'm going to get, or something. I was like really happy that she caught him and said that and said it out loud. You know, so they become you become them. And then sometimes I'm like, yes, oh good. She figured him out finally after all these years. You know, so I don't know. I'm sure I'm not answering your question.
Oh no, I think
And you're
Very
thinking
good.
right now, that's not what I asked her.
No.
No, it's about like the relationships and that's also another something. It's Complicated is another one of like the big movies of mine because yeah, just all the relationships are always really great and really cathartic at the end.
It is cathartic at the end, yeah. Yeah.
They're very
We
satisfying.
ended up with a nice guy, which I was happy.
Mhm.
I was happy.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Alex.
I don't think I could have written that as a younger person in my
Mm.
30s.
Right.
Good luck.
Okay.
Are you a writing student or is writing?
I'm a production, but I'm gonna do a screenwriting minor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
That was a good question. Thanks.
thanks.
Bye.
All right, Meg, you're up.
Swartlow.
Hello? Oh.
Hello, Meg.
Oh, hi. Hi. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hello, Swartlow. Yes, it's Russian. I'm big fans of both of yours, so very exciting. Love 13 Going on 30 and Gross Point Blank, Susan. And Nancy, obviously, huge fan. So my writing partner and I, she's one of my best friends. She's also on this, and we've been texting how you're a goddess in beige, Nancy. And we're both on this. And we just got hired to write our first film, and it's a rom-com. And we've been working on an outline for months. And we were supposed to go to script tonight at 6, but then I got the email that this was happening, and we're like, we have to go to the Nancy Meyers.
Oh yes, that worked out.
Yeah, we're like, this is amazing. So I want to know, in your experience, how has it been from going from outline to script, and just giving us any pointers, because we're doing it tomorrow. So I would just love to, and we also have 10 weeks, by the way, is what the contract said. So I would just love to know your experience on going, from there to making it
Well,
happen.
I'm always really happy I have my outline. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm just so happy to have the outline. And I wouldn't know where to, I'm not scared to write the outline, but I would be scared to write without an outline. So
Mhm.
I follow it, I follow it. And if something better comes to me while I'm doing it, I write the something better, It's just that simple. I follow it. It's written, it's not random, it's written in script order. It's good to know where your act breaks are.
Mhm.
I know there's all those rules of writing of on page this or this. I don't know any of those rules. I just don't know any of that. But you're like,
Oh, it's okay.
I still see you. But feel when it's going off. The outline could be wrong. The outline could be wrong. The outline could be taking you somewhere you don't need to go, and the second act doesn't have to be that long.
Mhm.
And just one of the great things about writing that I ever heard, or maybe it was about directing, but it works in either case, as a Billy Wilder line, to make your subtleties obvious.
Mhm.
Right? So what that means is, he certainly was not a writer who wrote obvious lines.
Mhm.
But if you're too subtle, you're not writing a mystery, right?
No.
So
double wedding. It's not double the murder. It's just double the brides.
So I always found that, and I'm always saying, no, that's too obvious, or no, and then I'll eventually fill it in a little bit so that, I like to take the audience by the hand a little bit. I don't want them to wander, I don't want them to wonder. There's a question on every preview card, were you ever confused? I've never had a confused person. Really.
Mhm.
Why should I make you confused? You're not here to be confused. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying be obvious, say something you've seen a million times. Not that kind of be obvious, but just be clear about what a person is feeling from scene to scene. And when I read a script, which I hate to do, but if somebody asks me to read it, one of my big notes is always, what is she feeling here? What is she feeling? If you don't know what the character's feeling, start over on that scene. You got to know what they're feeling in every scene. What's the goal? What is the objective here? Why are we in this restaurant? And also, don't be random in your choices of how you write. Don't say interior restaurant. What kind of restaurant? Big, small, fancy, Is it a joint? Is it a, describe how people look.
Great.
Describe personalities when you introduce the character. Don't say, John in a suit. I mean, I don't know who that is.
Or women just as beautiful.
Or women are beautiful. Or that stupid thing they always say about smart as a whip. No, what is that expression that every woman is described as? Any smart girl is described as?
I think that's smart as a whip.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Do better. Work on your prose. Do it. Work on it. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
That's great. Good luck, Meg.
Thank you for inspiring me, both of you. Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck. So Jeremy. There he is, but you're muted. You're muted, Jeremy.
I'm not muted. I'm good.
Yeah, now we're hearing you. Yeah.
Okay, we have time. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm an actor. Right now, I'm in the START program at USC. But my question is actually about directing actors because, I mean, you've directed the best actors ever, basically. So how did you, if at all, have to adjust your process working with some of these big players? And also just maybe one anecdote of something you really learned from the actor's process for you as a director.
So the first part of it was, how did I adjust to working with like movie stars, you mean?
Yeah, because I don't know, I've heard that everyone works rather differently. So do you have to be malleable in the way that you give notes or interact with them?
Yes, you have to be. It's just like your friend group, you're not always exactly the same with everybody. You can be this kind of with this guy, and with another person, you can be a little more honest, and with another, it's like you have to, I found sort of, by the time we start shooting, we've been through that wardrobe process, which to me takes the place of rehearsal. And so I have a feel for who they are. Plus, by the time we get on set, we've had meetings. It's not so I get a sense of who they are, and I think I know who to I can kibitz with, and who I have to be, say things in a certain way. You just learn, but basically, I don't adjust what I need. I may adjust how I say it, but I don't adjust what I need. I've been doing it a long time, and I know we're not coming back to this set. She's not going to be in this outfit again tomorrow. Get it, get it, get it, get it. You're allowed to do a lot of takes. I do a lot of takes. Actors don't love it, but they like the movies that I've made with them, they tell me. So that was my process, they're like, I'm always sort of digging for gold. And Jack used to say to me, what did he used to say? Chief, he'd say, it's probably a well-known thing. Good is the enemy, better is the enemy of good, or perfect. I said, I'm not looking for,
Perfect is the enemy of good, or something like that.
Perfect's the enemy of good. And I say, I'm not looking for perfect. Let's just see what else is there.
Better. You're just looking for better.
Yeah. Because sometimes I do a lot of takes because I haven't found, I'm searching for the thing the scene is missing. People assume if you're a director, you have every answer. You don't have every answer every minute. You can't. And the way the scene is working, something's not, so I just need to just do it again. And then I'll figure it out. Maybe you're too early in responding, or don't believe him right. Whatever the thing is, it's something, it's not a robotic kind of thing, like where immediately because you wrote it. There's a lot going on and a lot of distractions, and it takes a few takes for us all to warm up, I think. And some actors are better early, and some are better later, and they're doing a scene together. You got to work on that too, got to figure out how to do that. Make sure you cover the person that's, the one that kind of hot early, get them first. Nicholson, we're talking about him a lot tonight, but
why can't, of course, because it's him.
Well, he's the greatest.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there he is. He has little, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying this, but he breaks every scene down into beats. Every scene. Which I've never seen. Even if actors do it, they've never shared it with me. you know, Kate Winslet would have a million notes in her script, but I didn't always see what they were. But, you know, Jack would share these with me, and he would break it down into at what point things happened for him in the scene, right? And he would often end the scene saying the next line of the scene that came after it, even though we weren't shooting that for 2 months.
That's so interesting.
Great, right? And he's right. He's right, because I'm doing that.
Right.
I'm always connecting the dots in my head. Is this going to go with, you know?
So he has the whole movie in his head too.
He's got the whole movie in his head.
Wow.
And so in his pocket, in almost every scene of the movie, are those cards, or they're in the pocket of his chair, you know? So I learned that from him. But, you know, as a director, if you're interested in directing, you know, this is your shot. You got to get it. Got to get it the way you see it. Everybody in the set has a different agenda. You and the actors have the close to the same agenda, but there's a million other people around you. Not during COVID. They've gotten rid of a lot of them, but normally. And all those people have a different agenda than us. And I try to stay clear of those issues as much as I can once I start shooting, and just make it about the work.
Thank you. And I'll say that the commentary that you and Jack gave for...
Oh, did you listen to that?
I used to watch that from age 15, like
I have to listen to that again. It was so amazing. I remember calling him and saying, do you want to do this? And he says, well, what is it? You know, there are no interviews with this guy about acting. He has never been on a talk show,
It's literally, it was a gold mine for me as an actor.
It's amazing, right? And so you notice I just kept asking him questions.
Yeah.
Right? Because I knew this is like a document about the greatest actor, maybe the greatest that ever lived.
Is it true that he said that every character has a secret? Because I did read that he had this thing in him that he would give every character.
I've never heard him say that, but he told me one day on the set, maybe he says this in the DVD, I don't remember, but he told me, you know why he has a heart attack? And I said, lifestyle, what he eats, you know, I was like being like his doctor suddenly. He said, no, because it's love at first sight when he sees Diane.
Yeah,
I know.
That was it.
Killer.
Oof.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. We have time for one more question from Madeline. Madeline Duff, yeah?
Hi.
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 Hey, good evening. It's such an honor to even get to ask you a question. So thank you so much. I'm a writer. I'm working on my second rom-com right now. And I'm a great admirer of yours and of your work. So I just want to thank you. And Father of the Bride Part 3-ish, you know, really brought my friends and I a lot of joy in this like really difficult period. So thank you so much.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you. That's why we did it.
And I was just going to ask you, I wondered, I'm a great admirer of your, you know, what I think some people would call your supporting characters that you write, your B stories, for example. So like Chessie, for example, in The Parent Trap, and Martin, that love story is really delightful. And I think of other, you know, characters, for example, Zoe, Frances McDormand's character, your kind of quote supporting characters, I feel are really so strong and really just flesh out your story in a very artful way that I really admire. And I wondered if you could kind of talk about that art of crafting the B love story. And I feel that in your movies, they often really complement the A story, and they don't overshadow it, but they actually, I wonder if you could talk about that.
I don't have that in all my movies, I don't think, do I?
No.
I think so. But definitely in Parent Trap for sure.
In The Holiday, you would say with Eli Wallach, right? Isn't that who that is?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Eli.
example.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good example of it.
Yeah.
And also, I think of the character of Julian, even in Something's Gotta Give. These really strong, you know, kind of.
Exactly the B story, but I hear what you mean.
Yeah,
Really,
yes.
no, okay, I get the point. Yeah, no, I don't know. You know, I've never really, like even articulated this to myself. I just think a movie needs, you know, I think it's my own sense of sort of like, what else can I do?
Yeah.
No, really, it is really. I mean it. It's like, you know, if it's just Annie and Hallie and getting the two parents back together, at least it's comic relief, I think, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm a very big fan of, you know, classic screwball.
I was just gonna say that's right.
And they had that in spades, you know. The butler was always a big character, or you know what I mean, or the secretary, or the lady's maid, or whatever they were.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were always really colorful, and they had these fabulous comedic actors that played those parts.
Mm-hmm.
And they filled the movies out, you know. I think you also need a break from the main thing all the time, you know. And I always think I feel like, oh, I need to bring Frances back in. You know what I mean? We need to open this up a little bit, or get off of that. Every scene can't be the same. You know, it's a movie. It's got to fill it out. But I must say, oh my God, I was watching a romantic comedy on the treadmill the other day that I'd never seen, and it was like the girlfriend, the lead's friend. That character has got to change. Don't write.
I know. I hope it wasn't a movie we did.
Don't write that. Well, the not as pretty
Chaz friend,
not
right.
as pulled together girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't write that anymore. I mean, you just can't write that anymore.
I love that makes me think of Kate Winslet and her kind of love story in The Holiday, and when, you know, she's told you got to be the leading lady of your own life.
Right.
And I love, and I it's something I'm actually thinking about in what I'm writing, is how to make that best friend kind of trope of, you know, the girl's friend be kind of stand on her own too, you know, and not kind of fade in her own.
And not say the things you've heard them say a million times.
Right. She's not there to kind of fill that, right. I don't know, someone on her shoulder type person all the time.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You just got to steer clear of that. What is it, her best friend?
Well, it is her best friend, and she's it is her best friend, and I'm
give her a story, you know.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like when their only story is to say, well, call him. That's not having a story.
No, that's really good advice.
And also, you know what I do at the end of every script I write? I go back and I say, okay, I am in the intern, let's say. Yeah. I'm just Bob. I'm going to look at every scene as Bob. Meaning, could he have a better entrance? Could he have a better line? Is there too much time since he said something? Is he saying too much? Could he be the one that comes in and says, yeah, rather than that, you know what I mean? I do like a whole Bob pass. And then I'll read and I'll do Annie, you know. Oh, well, why should the husband get it? Let her pour the wine, whatever the thing is, you know what I mean? I'll just, and do that with these characters that are cliche. I think it would be helpful, you know. Don't have everybody be walking and talking all the time. I almost never do that unless I'm on a walk.
Unless you are walking, yeah.
I really, you know, I just don't walk and talk everywhere I go. I don't know, just try to stay away from those tropes because it won't set you apart. And don't be afraid to write smart people. Smart people are also sexy and funny.
Thank you so. See, that's why I admire you so much. I think it's important for, you know, I do think it's important for girls to hear that, you know, you can be smart and be the
but
hero.
You don't have to be smart in everything but love. That's also a cliche.
Yeah.
You don't have to be that either.
Right. It's kind of all or one or the other, right?
Yeah. Right.
I know. I always feel like
I don't really think that's so true. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm old now, and I don't know that many women that were great at their jobs, but really sucked in relationships.
Right.
I mean, we have relationships. We have husbands. We have children. We have success.
Really complicated
We
life.
have successes outside of work.
Yeah. Right. You're not necessarily defined by one of those.
Right. But movies about women tend to narrow it down.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
That's why I like your characters.
Thanks. And they talk about things, you know?
They're deep, actually. They have a lot of heart. Very deep. Thank you, Madeline, so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Nancy Meyers, thank you so much. We're done. What an honor to have you. You're like the most fun person ever.
I'm not, but thank
I think you might be. Maybe we've just been alone too
Can't
much.
everybody get on now? We can see them.
Can we see everyone that's here, or is that just not possible? Just you, Alex.
I'd have to manually transfer the 130 people still watching on the audience side. So.
All right. Well, we'll just say goodbye then, I guess.
Okay, everybody. I hope you got something out of it. This is a horrible time of life. Just write something that fills your heart during this time, like I did with The Father of the Bride.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Thank you.
The longest title ever. You can never put that on a marquee. But anyway, bye guys. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Goodbye.
great to see you.
Great to see you.
Thank you for the good questions.
Bye, Nance.
Bye.